Hi everybody, I'm Sarah. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm going to be talking about something that I think will interest everybody because as far as I know, there's no CEOs or billionaires on this Zoom call. What if you could get the same pay but not work as many hours? What if you only had to work 4 days a week and not 5 or 6 or 7 for overachievers who like to get overtime? It would probably make life a lot easier for many different reasons. And there's a couple places that have already attempted this and found more positive results and outcomes. So I'm going to be talking about that. Okay. So, and you can still see my screen?
Yes.
So here is my first slide. Should the United States adopt a 4-day working week?
Hell yeah.
I happen to think yes, that we should. Yeah, I'm gonna go into why I think that. There we are. The benefits of a 4-day work week. So one of them actually benefits the environment. And of course, if you don't like your job, you can get a new job. But can we just get a new planet to live on? No, probably not. At least not that I'm aware of. Did not come across an answer to that in my research. But of course, I wasn't looking for an answer to that. So less commuting, lower emissions. The earth gets to breathe cleaner air. That's a good thing. Next benefit would be less burnout, which means improved employee well-being, better overall job satisfaction, better performance. Obviously, if you feel better, you're going to do better. And then the studies that I used for this also found same or higher productivity among the employees, higher employee retention rates, which benefits the employers because, of course, your business is going to do better. I'm going to try to be an overachiever. Your business is going to do better if you always have adequate staff. Can confirm as someone who works at a short-staffed pediatric dental office, that alone can contribute to lots of burnout. So this also benefits the employers because people are more likely to stay at the job for longer because they're not burnt out. And let me just, oh no. This is not, that wasn't supposed to happen. Bear with me.
Hey, you're doing good.
Thanks. I'm trying to do good.
You are.
Thank you. I appreciate you and your kind feedback.
Of course.
So here are some examples of places that have successfully tried a 4-day work week and found positive outcomes. They've tried it in Australia, and they have also tried it in Iceland. I really like to, okay, this is actually a lot better. Now I can see more of you. Yeah. Anyway. So, for example, let's look at the example from Australia. They found that they, of course, had a better work-life balance, a more positive impact on overall well-being, more time to disconnect from work, fewer absences. Because I'm sure some of us can relate to the feeling of there's not really anything wrong with me except for that I'm drained and burnt out and I would like a break. And I may not get one if I go to work this week. especially if you have kids, because then your days off are not really days off because you're home with your children usually, especially if you're working Monday to Friday. You're going to be home with your kids Saturday and Sunday. So that's not really a break. You don't really get to reset and recharge. You go from one job to another. Increase productivity, because of course people who feel better are going to perform better. The business is going to do better if their employees are happier. Saved money due to reduced commuting. And then Iceland also has had positive results when they did their 4-day work week trial. Pretty much the same positive outcomes. The productivity was either the same or better. People were overall happier at the job, so better employee satisfaction rates, better employee retention, which of course benefits the business. Now we are at my works cited page. And I'm just going to briefly go over the sources that I used for my research. So I did use an article by the American Psychology Association for their input on the benefits of a 4-day work week, which I utilized in my presentation. 4-day work week, good for workers and employers. It's an article by BBC. And then another source I have is 4-day work week trial in Spain leads to healthier workers, less pollution. So again, just reinforcing the fact that it doesn't just benefit the business and the people working there, but it also benefits the environment. And of course, we can replace jobs and workplaces, but we can't replace the planet we're living on. And then the last source I have is, would you prefer a 4-day working week? If you're going to read only one, I'd recommend looking through the article at the very end. I thought that one was a lot more friendly to go through, less straight on the eyes, easier to get through, easier to read. Trying to find, okay, there we go. At some point while I'm recording, I have to make sure that I get all of you. That way I can show everybody who was kind enough to join me this evening. So what do you guys think? Would anybody be interested in a 4-day work week?
Yeah, right?
I think it might depend on what you do. Like for my kind of job, I can't do it from home, and I could, but it has more complications, and I can't like I make money off of directly working with people on a 1-to-1 ratio. So if I see less people, I make less money, especially because it's a tip-based industry in the service industry. So like if like right now I do a 6-day week. If I did 4 days, I don't know how they would plan the logistics around that to make that still come out the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
But if
do
I could
know
work
what.
less and make the same money, I would love that.
Yeah.
So I
what
have a
do you think
question.
your biggest barrier would be for getting into a 4-day work week?
So
Like, is it just?
I think the biggest barrier is a 4-day work week then turns into a 12-hour day, not a 8-hour day. So those extra 4 hours or 2 hours is a lot because you still have to go home, be a mom, dad, or do whatever, a pet mom, whatever it is that you have extra to do. It's still, you're still taking away. You might get that one extra day, but what does that entail in that one extra day? That one extra day might be a day that you can't do a doctor's appointment, or they're not whatever errands you have to run is not available. So that's kind of like the con to that.
Yeah. Well, I do know that You actually make a pretty good point, because that is an argument to the 4-day work week being enforced in America. Is people do say things like that, like, what if I can't even do anything with the extra day? Because what if now the other businesses are closed too? Things of that nature. And I will say this, because there are businesses that might have a harder time adopting a 4-day work week, or their issue might be, well, we're a healthcare facility, so we can't be closed for 3 days of the week because people need us to be available to them. But what would need to happen is shifts being rotated, structured schedule. Now, it can be difficult in the beginning, because especially if you're short staffed, like I know my job is, I work for a pediatric dentist and we're short staffed all the time. I know the people on here for my job can confirm. We definitely do not have enough people to run that office right now. But I will say that we've lost a lot of people, likely due to burnout, likely due to feeling like, one, they're not getting paid enough for the amount of work that they do. Now, if you were making the same money, but not having to work as many hours, it might be a little easier to get through that 10-hour shift versus 10, 12-hour shifts versus like the 8 hours, because you'd still make the same money, but you wouldn't be at work for as many days. And the places would still be open, but they wouldn't have to have the same people working the same hours. They could rotate it. But of course, to get there, you have to have employee satisfaction, which the places that have already tried this have seen positive outcomes with.
See, I think you kind of hit on the head that like a lot of people are very resistant to change. And a lot of people, at least in America, seem to think, oh, I have to work this much to make this much money. And those aren't guaranteed. Like it could totally change, but enough people, like enough companies would have to make that change for the bulk of society to go, oh, we can do this now. Like since COVID, my best friend, for instance, works in the city nearby. It takes her probably a half hour driving, tolls, gas, parking, has to do it 4 days a week to do the same job she does from her living room twice a week. But instead of just letting her work from home and do the exact same job, they require them to come in or they let them go. So with her job, if they cut down to 4 days a week and they mandated you go in all 4 days, it wouldn't necessarily help her any. But if they cut down to, hey, you either come in for 4 days a week or you do like 3 from home or something like that, like I think they would have a much better time with employee retention, keeping people happier, things like that.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, because you can't have this argument without arguing the other side, right? That there's going to be cons, especially in the beginning, especially for businesses and people that aren't used to working a 4-day work week. There's always going to be cons to every situation, but you can't really ignore all the possible positive outcomes that might actually get you through the cons and solve the cons before they're a serious issue. So I definitely think it's something worth looking into. It's of course not up to me. I don't get to decide how many work days.
It should be up to you, Sarah.
What?
It should be up to you. You make a good point. I think everybody here needs a break from working so much, and like everybody needs some time off. You know, a little balance is very important in work society, and I feel like you make a good point.
Thank you.